going? Let me give y'all a little light, child. Give y'all a little light. Okay, y'all can see me good now. Okay. Hey, y'all. I am live on Facebook, YouTube. Where else, child? Where else can you find me? Yep. I have three, one, two, three, four places over on YouTube where you can find me. Let me see. I think I got three places over on Facebook where you can find me, okay? So we're live right now. We are doing a live writing session with Dolores, the pastor's daughter. Hey, you guys, I am your coach, your writing coach. I don't think a lot of y'all knew, that I'm an author, I'm a writer, I'm a memoirist, okay? That's what I like to consider myself, a memoirist. You know what? Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get my vibration plate going. That's what I'm standing on right now. So we're just going to get a little vibration going. So let me just give you guys a little bit of a, just kind of a lay of the land, so to speak, okay? Because it's been a little while since we've done some live writing sessions, but I've been doing a lot of writing behind the scenes. Now, I watched this content creator, YouTuber, entrepreneur, just all around seems like an amazing person. His name is Dan Coe. And his suggestion was to do, I think at minimum, right? We say at minimum 2 hours a day of focused writing, and then see how your writing develops, see how your business develops, your book, whatever you happen to be working on, see how it develops over that time when you dedicate 2 hours of focused work, focused intention on moving forward in your writing and stuff like that. So tonight, just to give you guys kind of like a little bit of a heads up, we had line dance class tonight locally. I teach line dance as well on Tuesday nights, so I taught that tonight. And then we just started last week, we started incorporating karaoke into our line dance night. So on Tuesdays, right after line dance, we go right into kind of like segue into karaoke. In fact, the best way that I, know to do karaoke, like kind of that segue, is to do a couple of songs that we would, normally line dance to. Just do that in karaoke, right? So we transition by using some of the same songs that we would line dance to, and I just sung them, So tonight, for our segue song, so to speak, I did Boogie Oogie, okay, Boogie Oogie Oogie by oh gosh, who is that by? Oh god, I just drew a whole blank. Anyways, you guys look it up. But Boogie Oogie Oogie is just a really fun song. To me it's timeless, So a good song swap that I did, that's one of the other things that I do. I do a lot of modified dances and I do song swaps. So a lot of people that I teach line dance to, they're beginners or they consider themselves to not really be good at line dance. So what I like to do is like use some of those old songs that we used to do, and like just put the, just match a line dance that would go to that beat and that rhythm, like just match that, dance to the song. And it's been flowing very, very well. Also, I do modified dances because a lot of people that I work with are they're older or they have injuries or they just need to be careful, like I'm like that myself, right? Because I was in the military, so I had some military injuries and stuff like that. So in order to keep and I also have fibromyalgia, so I need to keep my body moving, but I also need to be conscious about the different issues that I have within my body that that could possibly get flared up or aggravated or whatever from line dance. So I modify some of my steps so that I can continue moving, but I'm also considering, what I can handle, right? So that's what I teach in line dance. And then, of course, tonight we just segued right on into karaoke, just like we did, the previous week. And just like we're going to do for the next weeks to come, child, for months to come, okay? We're also starting what I call the Elks Idol. We're going to start that in March. This is just a fun singing competition for the members of the lodge. So you know, that they can, you know, just kind of, participate in some fun activity, you know. A lot of us grown folks, child, we want to just have nice, good, clean fun. Sometimes we want to get out of the house, you know, but, you know, we still wanted to have like that comfortable feel. And to me, the lodge does a great job of really capturing that essence. And that's what I try to do also on Tuesday nights when I do my line dance and my karaoke. So, um, tonight was just the second night, so you know I could tell it's kind of like gaining traction, but it hasn't went like full force yet, right? So we're getting to that point. But let's go back into the 2 hour writer. So I'm one of those people that I work best at night, and y'all, I have tried. Do you hear me? Tried. Okay, with the duh at the end. I have tried to like move my writing schedule to like business hours, okay, like a 9 to 5, somewhere in between there. No, it just doesn't work for me. Like, I'm a late night writer, like, and I just have to be okay with that, you know. And I just, like, as I was just coming to terms with that, right, I was thinking, you know what, I'm probably not the only one. You know, I'm probably not the only one who likes to write late at night. You know, like, that's when my creative juices get to going. You know, so I feel like I do some of my best work late at night. And it's kind of, I feel like it's always been that way. In college, y'all, got 2 master's degrees. Child, when did I work? When did I write my papers? Late at night or like super, super early in the morning, 1, 2, 3, you know, in the morning. Hey, it just is, it is the way, it is what it is. Okay, people? So, tonight we're going to get into that. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a, you know, like just a lay of the land, so to speak. So right now we are in my she shed. This is where I do a lot of my creative work. I also have a little sofa over there, child. That's where I take my naps. As you can see, I've got my I Heart Naps sign. You could low-key kind of see it right there. And this is the, you know, this is my space here where I do a lot of my creative work. I have 3 screens here where I can kind of multitask. It's kind of my thing. I'm not really one who just work on one thing at one time, because the way my mind works, one thing is going to lead to another thing, is going to lead to another thing. And if I just focus on one thing, I feel like I'm going to miss something, or whatever thought that I had about another project is just going to leave my brain and it's never going to come back. So I feel like I got to like at least write it down in that moment, you know? And that's just kind of like how my flow is. And so what I decided to do was like, let's try this 2 hour writer thing, right? Like let's see what Dan Coe is talking about. Let's see, you know, if this really produces what we want it to produce, right? So what we'll do tonight is we'll do 50 minutes of focused work, okay? So that's writing. That and that doesn't mean you need to be actively writing. That could be research, that could be brainstorming, that could be conceptual, whatever you feel like is actually work that is moving you forward, okay? So it needs to be moving you forward in, you know, in your projects and in what you're trying to accomplish, okay? So that's 50 minutes of focused work, and then we're gonna stop for 10 minutes because, like, for me at least, right, I can't just sit and just work, you know. That's part of the reason why, you know, I was medically retired from the military and stuff like that, because of my conditions. I need to make sure that I have some time that is down and focused work, but I also need to get up, get moving, you know, and be active, and then I can sit back down, you know, and do a little more work. And so that's going to be the schedule that we go by, okay? So 50 minutes of focused work, okay, y'all? That is research, that's actively writing, that's, I mean, you could be putting prompts into your chat GPT, you could be putting, you know what I'm saying, you just something that is moving you forward, okay? You could be reading, anything that's moving you forward. And then for 10 minutes, we're going to take that 10-minute movement break. And during this 10-minute movement break, you can get on if you have a vibration plate like what I'm on right now, get on your vibration plate, vibrate for 10 minutes, you know. They say that these vibration plates, they say they do more work than walking sometimes, okay? So, you know, get into it. So if you got a vibration plate, do that. You've got some free weights, do that. Do you have a walking track? Do that. just do some steps in place, do some line dancing, do some type of movement, and then get sit back down or wherever you're working, and then get back into the 50 minutes of focus work again. And we'll do that for 2 intervals at least, and then I'll let you guys go for tonight. Okay, so it's 10:53 right now, so we could talk for a few more minutes. I want you guys to check in with me. Y'all go ahead and get in the chat and let me know what you're working on. What are you writing? Have you thought about what you wanted to write? Are you conceptualizing right now? Are you finishing up a project? Are you in the middle of a project? Like, let me know what you're working on. I'm your accountability partner. You're my accountability partner. I want to hold you responsible for and just send you some encouragement, some good vibes, for whatever you want to accomplish. It's up to you. For me, I think tonight, okay, we're done with the vibration plate for this 10 minutes. Okay, so for tonight, I'm trying to decide, like, before I left, I was working on all the details for the Elks Idol, and I think I'm finished with that. So I just want to make sure that I have that printed off, because I want to present it to the lodge on Thursday, and then I'm going to be done with that. Okay, and honestly, I kind of felt bad, because earlier I think I probably put in a good probably 2 hours working on it, and I was just like, geez, I probably should have been working on something else. But at least, that's just about done. I'm going to look at that and just make sure it's finished out, and then go ahead and print off the documents that I have for that. So what I did was I came up with the rules, the dates and times, the rules for the judges, the sheet that the score sheet, where everyone's going to be scored, and I think that's just about it. Oh, and then my social post, so I could post about it and then announce it and stuff like that. So I had ChatGPT, come up with all of that for me. Of course, I had to tweak a lot of stuff, tell it to redo, based on like new ideas that I came up with, or just kind of like just fine tuning the ideas that I already had. So we've got that in there. I just want to print it off and make sure that that's done, and it'll be I put it in a folder and just have it waiting for Thursday, for Thursday's meeting. And then I want to get back into this discernment, Daughters of Discernment movement that I've been working on. Right now I've created 2 school communities. One is the overall Daughters of Discernment community, and in there, y'all, some really good stuff that I created for y'all. In there, you're going to find the Tell Your Truth Daughter, the ebook that is going to get you started on writing your very own memoir. I know you guys have been talking about, you've been waiting for a sign from above, child. So you will know, like, is it my time to work on my memoir? Yeah, girl, work on that thing, okay? So that's what you can do today in the 2-hour writer. Like, go ahead and start conceptualizing, what you want your memoir to be about, what stories are going to make up your memoir. In fact, I would just say, just start writing. You know what I mean? Just start writing, and then allow the vision to kind of take a little bit of shape from there, right? So that would be my suggestion to get started. And then, of course, go over into the school community, and I've already put a lot of great information in there for y'all to help y'all get started on writing your memoir. So especially for people who have dealt with a lot of trauma, and especially if the people that caused your trauma or involved in your trauma is still alive, you're going to want to be really intentional about how you write your memoir. And these are like lessons that I learned from writing my very own memoir, because I wrote a memoir about my father, and he's still alive, and in fact he lives in the same county that I live in. Okay, so that just lets you know, like, this could get really sensitive and really crazy for people who are ready to tell their story, but they still got to consider the other people who are involved in their story, or who are characters in their story, so to speak. So the Tell Your Truth Daughter memoir writing series is really going to help you to, focus on that and not be scared, not be intimidated. Go ahead and start writing your story, getting it down on paper, start recording. In fact, during this 2-hour writing session, you could be doing voice recordings of your stories. You don't have to just sit down and write at a computer, okay? You can do transcription, you can talk, and then transcribe what you're saying. If you are a content creator and you're telling your stories, record your stories, transcribe your stories, and then that becomes some of the foundation for your book, okay? I'm gonna make this process really, really easy for you if you stick with me and stick with this 2-hour writing session. We're gonna go ahead and get started in a minute. So let me go ahead and transfer this screen over to. This is our countdown, and we're gonna like I said, we're gonna work for 50 minutes. Right, we've got our timer so we can stay on task. And y'all, I have not even got myself cleaned up or nothing from line dance class. I just came right on in here, like, let's get to writing, okay, people? So let me go ahead and get this started for you. We're gonna do a little bit of lo-fi music in the background, just something that's just gonna be mellow, just chill, kind of like white noise, okay? If this is not something that works good for you, you can go ahead and mute out, or just mute the video. Keep it on there if you just want, the vibes and, just that the community feel of all of us writing together, okay? It is 10:59 now. This is probably a good place to go ahead and start my timer. And I'm going to go ahead and mute out. We've got the music going. Can y'all hear the music okay? Is it at a good volume for you guys? I could turn it down or turn it up if you need me to. Or you can do that on your end. And, all right, it's 11 o'clock now. I'm muting out now. We're going to go ahead and start the timer, okay? Let's get to writing. Okay, how we doing, people? Check in with me. Let me know what's going on. How did that feel? How did that feel, y'all? Y'all, I don't know if y'all were looking, but there I go again, child. Like, my mind was everywhere, okay? So, I just created a new folder. Let me go ahead and do some, let me vibrate a little bit while I take these slides off. Okay. So, I told y'all I've been working on the Discernment Decision Lab on the school app. So I've got two communities on the school app right now. One is the Daughters of Discernment. This one's strong today, y'all. It's got my voice on. Did y'all ever do that when y'all was kids? Like, be like, right into a fan so you can hear how it makes your voice sound. Okay. Okay, so I was working on the decision audit. That's going to be a worksheet. The Decide This Now, that's a guide, workbook guide, and then the discernment-based decision guide for clear decision making, or for making clear decisions. That, and then let me just say this too, that like this was part of the reason why I went into the daddy issues series, because and I know I haven't really like done a good job at tying all of this in just yet, but I will. Okay, so just bear with me here, so the tie-in for the daddy issue series is just from my own story, right, from my own experiences. My daddy issues, or my issues with my father wound, my upbringing and the things that kind of just stuck with me. um to me, it really manifests itself in my decision making, right? And that's in like all areas, right? That's in relationships and career and home stuff, finances, I mean all the things, right? um where that the daddy issues really start to show up for me. Like, I've done a lot of work, y'all. I've done a lot of healing work. I've been in therapy. I'm very aware of what I've gone through and how it has impacted me in adulthood, how it's impacted my decisions, how it's impacted my relationships, and everything. And so, I'm at this point now in life where I still have daddy issues, right? I don't think that that's ever going to be something that just goes away, because I don't think that we, even realize how our daddy issues will manifest sometimes until we are faced with a situation or an event, or a relationship or something that really starts to highlight the fact that we got daddy issues. You know what I mean? So I think that sometimes even later in life, y'all, you could be 60 years old, okay, and you still got daddy issues. Like, it just is. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think there's, to a large extent, we just have to like accept that. Accept that there are things that we grew up with, that we experience, that affect who we are today, right? It affects our decisions. It affects how we move. It affects what we believe. It affects the decisions that we make. It affects our actions. It just affects, right? And so what I realize is that there's a lot of daughters out there that have a hard time making decisions and using their discernment, and also taking action. Because a lot of times, like, we know stuff, we see stuff, but when it comes to actually acting on it, making a decision, establishing something, like executing, then that's where there's a disconnect there. You know what I mean? And it was something that I dealt with personally too. I still deal with it. And so I always refer back to my decision making process. And because I have a decision making process, I'm like, you know what? it's probably a lot of daughters out there that don't have a decision-making process. I mean, how could you really? Like, how could you just be like, okay, well, I know I need a decision-making process, unless that was something that you were taught. But for me and probably a lot of daughters, because of the relationship dynamic, because of whatever our parents were going through, whatever issues, parent issues, mom issues, daddy issues that they have, it affected how they raised us, right? But it's our responsibility at this point to do something about it, right? Like, we can't just be like, well, you did this to me, and then that just be it, and then that's our alibi, that's our excuse, that's, a way of not taking accountability, not taking responsibility, not taking control in our power, for our own lives. So it's one thing to know a thing, to see a thing, to identify it, for our discernment to, like, okay, we know we got discernment. But when it comes to actually making a decision, when it comes to actually following through, when it comes to actually doing the thing, we might be falling a little short on that, sis. You know what I mean? We might be falling a little short, So that's what this process is really going to help. So I've been working a lot behind the scenes. Just because you guys are just seeing me now doesn't mean that I haven't, been doing the work behind the scenes and just trying to create this formula and this format that I've been using myself. I had to tap into, okay, what am I doing that is helping me to break free from the toxicity that was in my life? Y'all, one of the hardest decisions that you will ever have to make, hopefully you never have to make it, right? But a lot of us have, sadly, is whether or not we're going to cut our parents off. I mean, I hate it. I hate it for you. I hate it for me. But it is what it is, And sometimes we're faced with that decision of like, okay, do I do what's best for me, or do I do what's right society-wise? Do I do what's right religion-wise? Do I do what's right based on, like, how I was taught, my upbringing? What, like, nobody wants to sever the relationship with their parent, but sometimes that's a decision that you have to make. And if you if you can make it in that situation, think about how much stronger you are when you might have to make it in a friendship. Do I cut this friend off? Do I cut this lover off? Do I quit this job and move on to another place? Do I leave this church and go to another place? Do I, or not go? Like, we're faced with these decisions that we, every day that we have to make. And a lot of us are stuck in that spot of, okay, I know that this is no good for me, right? Like, I know that this relationship is not healthy. I know it's toxic. I know it's killing me. I know it's making me sick. I know it's draining the life out of me. But to actually make that decision, follow through with it, I don't know how to do that, And I think that that's what a lot of us are facing. It's not because you don't know. It's not because you don't have the information. It's not because you don't know enough details. It's not because you can't do the research. It's not because, you're not educated enough. It's not because you don't know what's best for you. You do. But when it comes to actually making that decision and following through, that's where we fall short. And so, I consider myself to be a discernment coach, and I've really been calling myself this for some years now. But I know that a lot of people don't understand what that means. Like, okay, what does that even mean, a discernment coach? I mean, if you even give it that much thought, then you're probably like, what does that even mean? But I help people to make decisions. I help people to think critically. I help people to process themselves, their feelings, their emotions, what's best for them, their purpose. I help them to decide what is the best option for me. And that's even a key right there. Like, what's the best option? Because people think like it's always like a good or bad. Like, I just gotta make the good choice or the bad choice. But sometimes there's good and bad in all the choices that you have. But you have to discern what is the best choice. Do y'all remember like taking tests in school and stuff, and they would ask you like, choose the best answer, and you're probably like, wait a minute, like, no, you just want to choose the right or the wrong answer. Okay, that's easy. But in real life, when you're making real life decisions, Sometimes it's not that black and white. Sometimes it's not like, okay, it's just that it's easy enough to just choose between what's right or wrong. No, child. Sometimes you have to choose what's best, knowing that there are going to be good and bad in every decision that you make. But how do you process that? How do you weigh out the pros and cons? How do you do your research and know what to expect? How do you do some, at least some forethought and foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the future from the decisions that you're making today? And a lot of people get stuck in this like this loop of like, okay, I don't know, like how can I make a decision, you know? And a lot of our difficulty with making decisions stem back to our very foundational relationships, where we learn to not trust ourselves. We learn to doubt every decision. We learn like I can't trust my choice. I don't know what's best for me. You know, I need someone else to make my decisions. I'm not here to make a decision. I'm not going to make your decisions. No, your decisions are yours. Okay, sis? We all got to make our own decisions. Every daughter is responsible for herself. But I'm a daughter also in this fight with you. And I can be of assistance in a way of saying, hey, like, these are some things you can consider. This is a framework that you can go by, giving you encouragement, enlightenment, and a little bit of a push to say, hey, you know, like, you know the decision that you have to make. You know, I got your back. You know, make the decision that you need to make. You stand on it. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do, sis. And I think that we're lacking that so much in our friendships, in our relationships and stuff like that, that I think it's just a wonderful thing to have a sister, you know, in discernment, who can help you from that perspective. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm not giving you therapy, child. Nope. I can't do it. Ain't gonna do it. Now, I'm a counselor. Yes, I'm a nationally certified counselor. However, I'm not here to counsel you. I'm not here to therapize you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to give you advice. No, I'm here to help you discern. And there is a huge difference between giving advice and helping someone discern. And so that's what, you know, I'm working on to help bring that to life and help that to become clear. Okay? Clear to the daughters. To God's daughters. Okay? So let's go ahead and get back started. Let me share my screen here. And we're going to go ahead and get right into the next half of our 2-hour writing session, as made popular by Mr. Dan Coe. If y'all don't know Dan Coe, go and follow him on YouTube. He's also on X, Twitter X, and he puts some great content out. So I encourage you guys to go and check out his channel as well. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna turn the music back on. Let me turn up just a tinge. Okay. So I've got the music back on. I'm going to go ahead and mute out, and let's go ahead and get back started, you guys. Also, at any time, you can say, you know, you can, don't say whatever you want to, child. Don't get crazy now, okay? But put your comments in the chat. Let me know what you're working on. I'm your accountability partner. Let me know what you're working on in the chat. I'm going to see you some great creative energy, some great vibes to create and do whatever you need to do, child. I'm here for you, sis. So, and just put your comments in the comment section. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and put that in the comment section as well. During my breaks, I'll just come back and check it and answer any questions that you may have, okay? Let's get back started. Is that clock ticking like irritating? I just turned it on. I'm gonna turn it down, okay, you guys? I'm gonna turn down that ticking. Let me see it. Let me know if that's if I need to turn it down anymore, okay? Hold on. Oh, it just go on. I need to turn it down anymore, okay? Hold on. That's not bad now, right? Okay, y'all. What's going on? How y'all feeling? Sisters, how y'all feel? Brothers, y'all alright? Just like Erykah Badu said, honey. How are y'all doing? Y'all okay? Let me see. Let me go back. So, if y'all have been with me throughout this whole live stream, we have been doing this 2-hour writer challenge, but taking 10-minute breaks in between, 50 minutes of consistent and focused work. I'm vibrating again. Woo. So anyways, you guys, let me tell y'all where I am now in my process. I'm working on the this making a discerning decision, basically making a decision. It's a framework, but how to do it from a position of discernment, right? Because when you make decisions, you definitely want it to be from a position of discernment, okay? Not out of impulse, not out of emotion, not out of being misinformed, not out of just taking advice from other people without doing any of your due diligence. When I talk about discernment, I talk about it both as two different things, right? One is like a muscle, okay? So working discernment and using discernment as a muscle. So, and like working on it, like working it out like you would to strengthen your body, right? How you work out a muscle, that's how you should with your discernment. You should be actively working it to strengthen it, right? And with every decision you make, you're strengthening that discernment more and more. And I mean, we all like to think that we could just do something and just be like Superman when it comes to discernment, or Superwoman or whatever, but that's just not how it goes. It takes time to work that muscle, and it's like one decision at a time, and you're constantly like strengthening it. So it's never going to be something that you just is like, well, I've accomplished this, you know what I mean? Like I am, I say I'm a discerner, but that doesn't mean that I'm at this, like, that I've just mastered it to the point where there is no other work to do. You know what I mean? There's no more working that muscle. There's no more practicing discernment. And there's no more, using the tools in your toolbox. That's the other way I describe discernment. Is discernment encompasses tools. You know what I mean? So let's say that you're making a discerning decision, right? That you have this project, let's just say this project or something that you need to fix or something like that, right? So you go to your toolbox to get all the tools that you need for this project, right? You got a hammer, you got a screwdriver, you got a wrench, you got, nails, you got this, that, and the third, right? All this stuff in your toolbox. Look, there goes my toolbox. My toolbox right there, child. Where is it? Right there. Like my literal toolbox. So, but if you think about it that way, then all the tools that are in your toolbox are all the components that can help you to make a discerning decision, right? To help you complete the project, to help you fix something, right? You're using all the tools that are in your toolbox. So what are your tools that are in your toolbox, right? So that is research, that is intuition, your Holy Spirit, experience, trusted advisors, like you got trusted people that you go to. Like, it's not bad to have people that that you can go and talk to and say, hey, I'm thinking about this is a decision that I have to make, or this is something that I'm facing, and I'd like to know what are your thoughts about it, and it's not like you're just taking that person's advice and that removes you from any responsibility or accountability for your own decisions, but that helps you to make a decision, because now you can lean on other people's toolbox too, right? You can lean on their experience, you can lean on their research, you can lean on their Holy Spirit, you can lean on different things, right? That's all tools that are in your toolbox. I even say your emotion is a tool that is in your toolbox. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing with emotion. This is why people always attack emotion, is because you end up giving that way more weight than it deserves or that it needs in your decision making process. So, okay, let's say that, emotion is a hammer, right? But the job requires the job doesn't require a hammer. Okay, it requires a wrench. It requires a screwdriver. It requires something else, right? Or it requires a combination of tools, right? So you may use for this project, you may use a little hammer, you know what I mean? And you use some screwdriver and use a little wrench in there. It's meaning that you're using the different tools that you have available to yourself. But they're all available and they're all for your use, and they can all make this project work beautifully, right? And turn out beautifully. But do you know what tools to use? Do you know how much to use those tools? Are you using the hammer, right, which is your emotions? Are you using that completely for the whole project, and that's all you're using? So completing this project or making a discerning decision is all based on you just using this hammer. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, you use a little hammer in there, okay? Use just a little bit of hammer. You use a little bit of this and you use a little bit of that tool, you know? But they're all available to you. So don't just exclude all of the other tools, especially tools that may be a little bit better fit for this job, you know? Or you may need to use a little bit more of the wrench. You may need to use a little bit more of the screwdriver for this job than you do the hammer. But without practicing discernment, working that muscle one decision at a time, you know, constantly, then you don't really know. You don't really know what the proper tool is for the job. You don't know how to use the tools to where you can make the best project, the best decision of your life, you know? And it's always going to come down to the best decision, not the right or the wrong decision. You might as well just get right and wrong out of your vocabulary at this point, because there is no right or wrong, you know? Things are just not that black and white. Like, virtually nothing is, you know, like there's just a handful of things that are really just black and white. Nothing is. There's gonna be a little bit of like bad, so to speak, you know, in your good decision. There's gonna be some pros and cons. There's gonna be positives and negatives. There's gonna be two sides to everything. And as long as you remember that and know that, then you won't get stuck on and hung up on right or wrong. Just really know right or wrong. It's what's best. And that's how your decisions, that's how you have to be focused with your decision. Okay, I have to make the best decision, not the right decision, not the wrong decision. That's what keeps you stuck in indecision, because you're like, dang, I don't want to make the wrong decision. But sometimes there is no wrong decision. It's just that you have to make the decision and you have to weigh it all out. And all of that, those things depend on you. They depend on the circumstances. They depend on who else is involved. You know, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of nuance there. There's a lot of things to consider there. But the thing is that we've never been taught how to think critically, how to make the best decisions of our lives, how to use our God-given gift of discernment. Then we're really just out there just trying to figure it out. And a lot of us can't afford to just keep trying to figure it out, right? We need somebody to just help us figure it out, you know? Like, we're just bumping our heads, like, not really knowing how to critically think, not really knowing, you know, how to make a decision, not really knowing how to weigh out the pros and cons, not knowing how to use the tools in our toolbox. So this is how this helps, because then you realize, like, you know, you can remove yourself from the whole right or wrong, you know. Don't even be invested in that, in what's like, this person's right, I'm right, you know, my discernment was right. Like, it doesn't matter. You chose what was best. And then when you get new information, when new information is presented to you, weigh it out. Like, do I need to go back and weigh out my decision? Does my decision need to be changed? Does it, you know? And be okay with that. Be okay with, like, okay, now I've got new information. You know how, like, they'll close a case in court, right? They close a case, it's closed. But if any new evidence, new evidence comes, we got to open that case back up. But see, you got to evaluate that. Okay, do we need to open this case back up? Does this new information, this new evidence, change anything? I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But that's what the discernment process will do for you. That's what having a framework will do for you, you know? You can take the guesswork out of making decisions and actually work the process of making decisions. Does that make sense? So that's where, that's where we are in our process right now. That's what I've been working on behind the scenes. And that's where the daddy issues stem from, because there had to have been something that just made you doubt yourself so much, made you not trust yourself. It could have been trauma. It could have been parenting issues. It could have been the absence of parents. It could have been, a few, a combination of things that really, factored into you being in this place right now where it's like you can't make a decision. Your discernment is not where it needs to be. And but all is not lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would tell you all day, like, you need discernment, where's your discernment? But they don't have the tools, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't even have the discernment to tell you how to discern, child. Like, it's like, I hear what you're saying, but you ain't even able to help, child. You just able to point out my shortcomings. Okay, but I can point them out. Yeah, I do point them out, but I can also help, and so that's what this framework is for. That's what I've been doing. That's what we're working on right now. So what are you all working on? Our 10-minute break is up, people. So we've been going for 2 hours 20 minutes, which checks out, right? Because I talked for about 20 minutes in the beginning, so we can get to like at the top of the hour at I think we started at 10 o'clock. Was it 10 o'clock or 11? No, definitely not 10 o'clock. So I was like 11. Was it 11? It had to be, because it's 1 o'clock now. So we got started at 11 sharp. Writing, okay? We did 2 50-minute writing sprints, focused writing, and then we did 2 movement breaks, okay? For my movement breaks, I got on a vibration plate. What did you do for your movement break? Okay, tell me in the comments. And if you watch this back after the fact, like, just go ahead and let it play through, and then you just work your process, you know what I mean? Like, just pretend like you're live watching me right now, and just do the sprints, do the 50-minute writing sprints, do the 10-minute movement break. And you saw sometimes I got up and did some movement as I was writing, or as I was reading rather. So get it in how you get it in, okay? But I think this is a good place to stop for tonight. Well, it's already 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock in the morning here where I am in Alabama. Also, let me know where you're watching from. Are you working on a memoir? Are you working on your poetry? What are you working on, child? What are you writing? Let me know in the comments. I hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. I'm your accountability partner. Okay, I'm your girl. So y'all let me know that in the comments. Make sure you like the video, share the video, let the girls know, and the guys who like to write, child, but I'm talking to the girls, okay? Let the girls know that we're doing these writing sessions just really until and if and until, child, I get an actual like more structured writing flow or writing times, which I probably won't ever do, because that's just the way I'm set up. I'm just like, when I feel it, I'll do it, or when I need to do it, I'll do it. I do write every single day, but I don't always go live and write. Sometimes going live and writing is a little bit of a distraction, because I am thinking about you guys and also engaging you while I'm writing. So it is a little bit of a distraction for me, but it's also good because I want to also document my journey as a writer, and I want to create a community where hey, this is a space where we can come to write and we can really let our creative flow. And you don't have to be writing a memoir. You could be writing anything, like literally anything. You could be creating anything, but my talent and my focus for these sessions is writing. So if that resonates with you, please make sure that you like the video, subscribe. Like I said, I'm on three 3 pages on Facebook. I have I have a community on Facebook called Code, Community of Daughters Everywhere. And then I also have my personal Facebook page, Dolores Michelle Peters. And then my professional Facebook page, Daughters of Discernment. And I think I changed it already to Coach Dolores and Daughters of Discernment. But if you look up Daughters with an S at the end, okay, because I think there is a Daughter of Discernment on YouTube, but look up Daughters of Discernment because this is a community of more than just me, okay? So that's the S on the end, okay? So Daughters of Discernment, Discern and Dance. You can pretty much look me up under Coach Dolores, DELORES. And you can find me anywhere, y'all, okay? I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of the places, but I'm more active on Facebook, YouTube, but I'm getting more active on TikTok, okay, you guys? So make sure y'all go and look me up on TikTok as well, okay? All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I will see y'all later. Am I going to continue writing? Am I about to go lay down, child? I'm tired. Yeah, I'm about to go lay down. I need to wipe my makeup off. I need to take a shower. So I'll see y'all later, child. I need to get all this dancing sweat off of me. So I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Bye bye for now.